Private equity firms like Blackstone have spent the last decade and $8 trillion turning every opportunity for upward mobility into a source of massive profit for the 1%.
Trump administration is finalizing an executive order that would allow 401k retirement plans to invest in private equity.
EA, electronic arts maker of popular franchises, Madden, NFL, The Sims, being acquired for $55 billion. The Saudis are involved, sovereign wealth fund. It's a huge private equity deal, I think biggest ever.
Some of the biggest investors in America have moved into this industry. According to one new report, over 100,000 home sites, traditionally run by mom and pop businesses, are now owned or partly owned by private equity firms like these.
And it all goes back to their business model, to turn a profit above all else, with no consideration for the societal benefits of the industries they want to extract profit from. Housing is a perfect example. Shelter is a basic human right, and when regular people want to buy a home, that's their primary consideration.
Tonight, the Arizona Attorney General is calling it a massive scheme landlords are using to raise rent, and it has impacted hundreds of thousands of people in the valley.
One is Gray Star Real Estate Partners, who owns a handful of complexes right here in Noda. They and the others are accused of using AI to align their prices, swindling renters out of millions.
Federal regulators are accusing the company of colluding with landlords to raise the rents on millions of Americans utilizing artificial intelligence software.
It's an investment too, but a long-term one. And a static mortgage payment allows homeowners to save money and build wealth over time, as opposed to dealing with constantly rising rents. But for billionaires, it's all about making a quick buck. Through private equity firms, investors have bought 20% of all single-family homes in the US, and that's expected to double in the next 5 years. These homes are then flipped quickly and sold at a massive profit, or where short-term rentals aren't regulated, turned into Airbnbs. Meanwhile, private equity has also gotten into the apartment business and have created rent monopolies all across the country, allowing them to raise the cost of rent beyond what people can afford, which has led to historically high eviction rates. That same profit at all cost mentality is also being applied to the already overpriced healthcare system, where private equity has invested $1 trillion in the past decade.
So Roger was a doctor at a small rural hospital in Wyoming. It got purchased by a company that then got purchased by Apollo Global Management, and just all of the basic services at this hospital started getting stripped. They couldn't deliver babies anymore. They couldn't do general surgery anymore unless it was between 9 and 5. At a certain point, they couldn't treat, basic heart attacks anymore.
And hospitals owned by these investment firms have been found to be understaffed, underpay employees, and the patient death rate is 13% higher than other hospitals. And while the billionaires are making money off these life-ending, cost-saving measures, it's costing patients more. Pricing at these hospitals is 32% higher than at regular healthcare facilities. That means in those areas, insurance goes up, the quality of care goes down, and that 32% goes straight to the pockets of the ultra-wealthy. But the small business sector is where these firms go full Tony Soprano.
I'm opening my mail, and it's a lawsuit. They're gonna close me down.
Davey, not now, okay?
Private equity firms have taken controlling interests in tens of thousands of small businesses, over 20,000 the last year alone.
Private equity started in the 1960s with what they called bootstrap deals, which were essentially buying small family-run companies that showed the potential for expansion, but didn't necessarily have the liquid capital they needed to do it, pumping in a bunch of capital and then coming to a lucrative exit for everybody, right?
But here's what really happens. It usually takes small businesses about 2 to 3 years to become profitable, but investors want gains immediately. And since they have a controlling interest, they force these businesses to take on unsustainable debt, which the private equity firm leverages to yield a return for their investors. But because the debt isn't sustainable, the business goes bankrupt, and the owner is left with nothing, while the billionaires who swooped in reap all the profits. Retirement funds are the next profit center in their crosshairs. In August, the Trump administration opened the door for private equity to take over 401k funds and take controlling interest in retirement plans. This, combined with efforts to privatize Social Security, means trillions of dollars people have taken out of their paychecks so they could use it later when they want to retire could instead go directly to the bank accounts of America's richest people. But it's not a foregone conclusion. There's a simple solution to rein in this level of greed that's worked everywhere it's been implemented: taxing billionaires. Hoarding wealth is much less attractive if you have to give it back to the system anyway. And returning that money to the people would ensure people could retire, would allow for more affordable housing, and could allow people to get grants to start their own businesses. Taxing America's oligarchs could even pay for universal healthcare, which means everyone would have care, healthcare costs would plummet, and quality of care would skyrocket. A tax system that requires private equity firms to pay up when they use these predatory investment tactics would deter them from enacting them altogether, getting them out of the industries that are meant to help communities thrive, not pay for somebody's third yacht.